Okay, Dreamer, please.
Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Today we have Sage in the comeback series, and many people have not been using him for some time, and I think, with so many strong magic heroes right now, can he be able to be a good support for them, especially with his passive? His passive is actually pretty good paired up with Anti because it decreases poison resist, decreases their recovery rate, and also decreases physical attack and defense of the enemies by 10% each turn. Anti decreases magic attack by 10% each turn, so it's a pretty good combination with her. And he also acts like a Judas in the magic team. For his first skill, he deals fixed damage, decreases the crit and lethal rate of the enemies, and also increases their skill cooldown, which is pretty decent, basically more bulk for the magic team. And then we also have another skill which deals 300% to 3 enemies, applies 60% lethal rate, and has 80% chance to apply poison. So if you give him crit weapons, this is going to hit pretty hard. And for his awaken skill, he deals 400% to all enemies, setting now 70% defense, and also deals additional damage if they are poisoned. And I think this will go really well with Eve, as we used to see. So I can't wait to see whether this Sage can still work out now, because it's really been a very long time since he was last used. For his effect attack, he does poison, so of course I given him double crit over here, and also double block armor, because previously, remember, I used to say my Sage is super tanky, so I decided to go with block this time. Willful Ring, Hide, and Purification, so that he won't get countered and take unnecessary damage. He will survive on 1 HP, increase his awakening gauge, and also has more damage reduction from block, and also damage reduction overall. For his fighter soul, I given him magic attack, decreased damage received, block rate increase, and status cast rate. And for his traits, I've given him 3 resistances, so this one is really dependent on the team. I decided to go with these 3 for him. So this is the team I'll be using, pretty much a very standard magic team, but with Dire instead, because I used to use this team with Abel, so I decided to take out Abel and swap in Sage. Dire will increase the offensive capabilities of the entire team, and also provide bleed and poison immunity, which is really good against enemy Judas and Eves, so I won't be taking unnecessary damage from the poison and bleed effects. And of course, Yonhee here is for buff block. Anti, we all know what she does, she's just too good not to be used. And for Eve, she's actually the healer in a way, because every time my team uses a skill, they will heal, and she also helps Sage with the poison application, so that's pretty good. My Eve is really going all out here in this first match. I'm not too sure if this can be attributed to Sage's defense decrease, because this defense decrease passive only kicks in at turn 2. So right now, at this point in time, only 20% of the defense has dropped. Turn 3, okay, at turn 4 it will be 30% defense drop. So I'm not too sure if that actually plays a role right now, because as you can see, I'm slaying the enemies so fast, which is very, not typical of magic teams, especially since they have a Rudy. But if they don't cleanse in time, I think that will be a problem, because ultimately you realize that Rudy's passive goes against Sage, and then it just neutralizes everything. So if they do not cleanse in time, I'm actually able to decrease their defense by a very good amount, and also decrease their output in general. They still hit pretty hard, but then again, it's just turn 1, and the defense and attack, the attack drops only kick in at turn 2 as usual. So it's only at turn 5 where we'll be able to see some kind of effect, whether a 50% magic and physical attack drop actually affects the damage we take. Because if that's the case, then Sage being a partner with Anti can actually boost the defense capabilities of the magic team quite a fair bit, especially since he can also decrease crit and lethal rate with his skill. And he does hit very hard with that skill, you saw that, 180,000. because it has a base lethal rate of 60%, and of course I've boosted his crit so high. So yeah, that skill really hits pretty hard. Again, this is an offensive team that got completely slayed very quickly, even though the enemy had a Rudy, but I'm not too sure if he actually cleansed, because he does not seem to have a cleanser. He's using Dylan's, Fenrir, Judas, Spy, and Rudy, so he has no cleanser in that case. Of course, I have to endure the Agnes Flame, but I guess it's fine. And by this time, the Agnes Flame does 29,000. So this user could probably be on a Berserker ring, because I think with Sage's 50% attack down, I don't think Agnes Flame should be doing that much. So yeah, he probably could be on a Berserker ring, I'm not too sure. So over here we are facing a universal team. So we have faced a few different teams so far. This is the third variation, which is the universal team. Also the strongest team right now, so it's pretty scary how much damage they can do, especially since they have Rudy on their side. They do have Anti who can cleanse, so we'll see how that goes. As you can see, the debuffs are applying right now from turn 2. So unfortunately, my Sage doesn't land the cooldown increase on Anti, and she cleanses. So I guess the cooldown increase is actually pretty useful as well if you do land it on the right hero in the beginning, especially the cleansers, so that they won't be able to cleanse. Oh my goodness. Abel is super hard. Okay, so basically, yeah, in this case, block rate, you know, despite all the block I have given my Sage, it really doesn't matter, because effect attacks do ignore block, and that's basically why it's very dangerous to go up against Abel, and there's really no way my Sage died. Yeah, so no more physical attack decrease, no more defense decrease, and yeah, not the best situation here. Unfortunately. So this is another magic team that we are facing. Hopefully we get better results from this. Sage goes first using the top skill, which should hit pretty hard, but unfortunately I get completely blocked. Wow, and he did no damage. This enemy does use a Jack. I'm not too sure what the concept of that team is, because he does use a Dire. Yeah, not an offensive team, I'm sorry, but his team concept is pretty different. Dire, Judas, Jack, a very high Reaper base team, a very prime hero base team, I mean, with Rudy. His Jack gets awaken skills super fast, but only electrifies one of my heroes. He does not have a cleanser. I mean, he does have a cleanser, but he has not cleansed, so I hope it stays that way. Unfortunately though, he does use Rule, so I'm guessing he's going with a tank team idea, because Dire is the bleed and poison immunity provider. So against this team, my team is just completely useless, and Sage is completely useless in fact, because his poison isn't gonna land. So the only thing he can do is really to do damage and to be there for his passive. And thankfully Dire did die, so it'll be good to use my poison skills now, but unfortunately my Sage is completely on cooldown because he used his skills too early. Yeah, let's look at his awaken skill. Even though there's no poison applied, so I don't think the damage will be huge. Yeah, it's not that great. So unfortunately, now that we have Dire in the meta, I know not many people are using her, But you know, as she does exist, and it's a complete shutdown for Sage. So it's good that she's not really used, so Sage has a chance, because this is unlike the Phi and Gyarados situation whereby Phi was released specifically to counter Gyarados completely, right? Dia wasn't really used to counter Sage in a way, but more of Eve and Judas. But you know, Sage just so happens to have complete poison set, and he definitely cannot do anything in this case. But he does have a great passive, I will say. He does help to nullify or reduce the heals, so he's definitely still a possible member on the Magic team. But this is provided your other members can support really well, because as you can see, Sage actually can last if he doesn't get slapped by Abel, of course. But apart from that, I think he has some decent bulk still, even up to today. It's just that it's really difficult to go through the this current team with Anti, Judas and Rudy, because those three are pretty strong. Thankfully the Judas died, so in case I get any heals, you know, from my Dia, my Dia died. I was gonna say in case I get heals, I would be healing a lot more now. Unfortunately, that won't be the case, and he finished the match. So yeah, Sage could last all the way, you know. So it's not that he is completely frail or completely crap. I think he still has a chance. This is a Magic team this time, a very strong looking Magic team. My Sage goes first, lands the poison. I don't think he'll do much damage. Actually, he does pretty good damage. The Judas is already down to half his health, and also applied the poison. So I'm just hoping that Sage can, Sage is able to use his Awaken skill soon. But the thing is, it's very difficult at this point in the game because Purification is very real. So by turn 4, I mean, Sage has to get his Awaken skill within 3 turns or 2 turns in order for his poison to really take effect. Because if he doesn't, then the poison could be cleansed on most enemies, and I don't think that's a very helpful thing. I don't think that's very efficient basically, because it doesn't make sense. His Awaken skill will be very weak in that case. So how I think he can be revamped? To be honest, I think his multipliers just have to be better. I think his skill set is still pretty decent, and Eve just slayed through that. So again, I can't be sure, but probably I have to attribute this to Sage's defense drop, because the enemy team doesn't have Rudy. So if the enemy team doesn't have Rudy, I'm at a pretty good place, because Sage's defense drop is huge for the Magic team, especially when you have heavy damage dealers like Eve and Anti and Yonhee. So I think he's a valuable asset. But of course, all these wins are one thing. There's also a fair share of losses, which I'm just showing you guys right now. So I won't say this team is completely perfect, but he will come into use sometimes, and I think he can be revamped a little bit more to keep up with the meta. And big shout out to my channel members ZMD Phoenix and Yamaki for the support. Stay tuned for more videos. Be sure to give it a like and subscribe to my channel. Thank you so much, and see you!